Good evening and thanks for joining us for Fox 13 News at 9's coverage of the primary election. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. The polls closed just about an hour ago and we are tracking two big races here in Utah tonight.
In Ogden, 7 candidates are running in the nonpartisan mayoral primary. The top 2 vote getters there will advance to the general election in November.
And then there's the election to determine who will be Utah Republicans' pick to replace outgoing Congressman Chris Stewart. 3 candidates are hoping to move forward in that race. Our Fox 13 News team is stationed around the Beehive State tonight, tracking the results with the candidates in real time.
Let's get right to the numbers. Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow joins us in studio tonight. Ben.
Yeah, I want to caution everybody that these results are, as they come in, are still very preliminary, and there is a possibility we do not know conclusively who is advancing on to the general election tonight. That's, of course, as we have mail-in balloting, votes that are dropped off postmarked today that still need to be counted, in-person polling locations, and provisional ballots that would still need to be counted by county clerks all over the state. But let's get to those numbers. Here is the latest that we have right now, with numbers still coming in. Becky Edwards right now with 50% of the vote, Bruce Huff with 22% of the vote, and Celeste Malloy with 27% of the vote. So this is shaping up. These numbers right now include Salt Lake, Davis, and Tooele County. A little bit of Paiute County and Garfield County just came in, so those will update shortly. Now I want to show you the areas that we are still looking for. You want to watch out for Washington and Iron counties. Those are still some populated areas. A lot of this district still outside of Davis, Salt Lake, Tooele is still, fairly sparsely populated in terms, at least compared to the Wasatch Front. But Washington County and Iron County do have significant population centers. That's certainly what a lot of candidates have been campaigning on, and that is where the election could hinge, really depending on the voter turnout. So far, it's been about 33% today. Not a huge turnout, but it could make or break for a number of these candidates. We're going to be back with the latest numbers coming up.
Ben, thank you. Great first look at those numbers, as they're possibly could change throughout the night. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold is following Celeste Malloy's bid to become the Republican on the ballot come November for the 2nd Congressional District.
Chris joins us live from Celeste Malloy's election watch party in Cedar City tonight. Chris.
Well, good evening, Bob and Kelly. Supporters started filing in here to the Courtyard Marriott in Cedar City around 7 o'clock tonight. I'm going to step to the side. As you can see here, plenty of people here right now. This room holds just under about 100 people. They're all anxiously waiting as those results continue to roll in. But I want to bring in Celeste Malloy right now. And Celeste, thank you for joining us. Obviously, we just saw some numbers roll in from Garfield County, some cheers and some hollers in here. How are you feeling right now?
Well, I have been saying all along that the rural counties want more representation. They want people who show up, and I've been showing up in the rural counties, and I'm really excited to see these numbers.
Yeah, when we were talking earlier, you were talking about the rural counties, the Iron counties. We're here in Iron County right now. The Washington counties, where you said about 40% of the population in this district is at. Are you hoping that when these numbers do continue to roll in, that this will help turn the tide for you in this election, especially considering that you are a Cedar City resident?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about these numbers. I'm performing as well as I would have dared hope in Salt Lake and Davis counties, and a lot of the counties that I would have expected to be strong for me haven't come in yet. So the mood in here is really good. I'm feeling really optimistic. Let's see what the rest of the counties bring.
I have time for one more quick question. I know this has been a very quick process. Obviously, you secured the endorsement of the Utah Republican Party back in June. Here we are early September, just 2 months' time, really. Do you feel like the voters here in the 2nd Congressional District really got to know you and what your hope is for the district?
I do think it was tough for people to get to know me. I did everything I could to get my message out in front of people. I was on TV, I was on the radio, I was doing debates, I was holding events. But it's just such a short timeline, and people had other plans during the summer. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far, but I'm not going to stop working. If I make it through this, I'm going to keep traveling the district, keep meeting people, keep taking my message to people so that anyone who hasn't had a chance to get to know me can get to know me.
Well, Celeste, I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. Obviously, results continuing to roll in right now, but Celeste telling me here just a moment ago that her and her supporters here are remaining optimistic throughout the process. But for now, live here in Cedar City, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Chris, thank you so much. Now let's check in with Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree, who is live in Salt Lake City with the Becky Edwards campaign. Edwards is the front runner in the polls as of right now, Jenna.
Sure, and there is a lot of energy and a lot of confidence in Becky Edwards. You know, just an hour ago when we got those preliminary results that showed her way ahead with about half of that vote, the room behind me just erupted in applause, cheers, people hugging each other, a lot of early celebration. As we mentioned, those votes are still being counted. I actually had the chance to catch up with Becky a short while ago. She says she spent today running around doing last-minute campaigning she believes has really paid off. The former state legislator says she's focused on a lot of the causes she took action on during her decade as a Utah representative. Her top priority, improving the lives of families.
Families are suffering right now. The impact of excessive federal spending is really impacting families and their ability to even pay for everyday goods and services that they need. That's my number one reason, is how to improve the lives for families.
Edwards says she hopes to continue expanding affordable housing, improving schools, and supporting clean energy opportunities if she's ultimately elected. We will be here all night and we'll continue to give you updates as we get a clearer picture of the results. We believe Becky might even be taking the stage soon and speaking with her supporters, so we'll continue to keep you updated on what she says to her supporters here tonight. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Jenna, thank you so much. Heading out now to West Valley City, where Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser is with the Bruce Huff campaign. Emily, describe the scene there.
Kelly, we're at the Mountain City Church here in West Valley City, where friends, families, and supporters of Huff are watching those results come in. They're actually watching them come in on Fox 13, so there might be a bit of an inception moment about to happen. I spoke to him a few hours ago, and he said he was feeling pretty calm. You'll hear from him actually in a bit. But Bruce Huff is a big businessman from Utah with quite a background. He's held top positions in leadership development companies, nutraceutical corporations, journalism and satellite communications, and magazine and book publishing industries. He told me his private sector experience is what distinguishes him apart from the other candidates. His top two issues are the debt and deficit spending and regulatory overreach.
One of the other business characteristics that will help me and differentiate me is the ability to not just negotiate, but to learn about other people's values and principles so that we can really focus on solutions.
Despite the long resume of entrepreneurial endeavors, he's managed to be part of politics for more than 40 years. That's in city, state, and national. And he's joining us here for a bit of a live interview. Bruce, how are you feeling tonight?
Really good, Emily. Great to be here. Thanks for being here and joining us on this really important occasion.
Yeah, what's the environment here? What's the mood tonight, guys?
Mood is subdued. I don't know. What do you think? Somewhat subdued. But yeah, we're excited. It's early still in the evening, so we have a long way to go still.
Yeah, early results have you trailing behind the other two candidates. How are you feeling?
That's completely expected. You had one candidate who had been in the race for Senate just a year or so ago and had a big head start, and then you had the other candidate who had the endorsement of the existing congressman who had an infrastructure in place ready to go as well. So we started a little bit behind. But the good news is towards the end of this campaign, our momentum was really strong.
Yes, and those are still early results, so we'll be here live with updates as those keep coming in. But for now, reporting live in West Valley City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
All right, Emily, thank you so much.
Well, beautiful weather for Election Day.
Yes, for the most part. We did have those isolated storms that moved through far northwest and far northern Utah earlier tonight. Lost a lot of strength as they moved over the Great Salt Lake, but we still have a little bit of a breeze out there up in Salt Lake City. We've got our wind out of the north right now at 25 miles per hour. Temperatures in the mid-60s, so it's cool and breezy. Let's call it mild and breezy. 64 in Ogden right now, 67 in Provo. Temperatures here across the state, much of Utah right now in the 60s, 64 for Logan. And then we've been tracking the thunderstorms here across northern Utah over the last few hours. As I mentioned, they've lost a lot of their strength, but we're seeing a little bit of rain right now moving through Logan Canyon, approaching Bear Lake, down towards Perry, mainly north of Ogden, but we're seeing those gusts right now in Ogden at 32 miles per hour, 33 miles per hour in Salt Lake. So mild and a little blustery out there. We've got temps in Salt Lake that'll drop into the 50s for tomorrow morning just briefly. And then our temperatures are going to be on the rise. If we'll have more storms tomorrow coming up.
A 17-year-old girl riding her bike hit and killed by a garbage truck. How the tight-knit Utah community is processing the tragic loss tonight.
Controversy over a huge development some say is dangerously close to the Great Salt Lake. What the city council is doing about those concerns.
Utah quarterback Bryson Barnes can now quit his part-time job. That's because he's now on scholarship. We'll hear from him coming up.
The latest election numbers from across Utah coming up after the break.
Tremonton woke up this morning to the tragic death of one of their students, an 11th grade girl who went to Bear River High School.
Tremonton Police Chief Dustin Cordova says at about 6 a.m. the girl was riding her bike near 1500 West Main Street when she was hit by a garbage truck. Box Elder School District Superintendent Steve Carlson says the loss leaves a gap in the tight-knit community.
Bear River High School is really a community high school, and whenever something happens to a student up there, it really affects all of the kids. And so we always take it really seriously. When I say the kids, I should throw in the fact that also the adults, they get really close to the students.
Carlson there says they have their crisis management team providing counselors and licensed social workers for the high school students and staff, as well as another elementary school where two of the girls' siblings go to school.
Now, Chief Cordova says based on the evidence they have, it seems like the girl was riding her bike to meet a friend before heading to school together.
We're investigating it like we would any other incident, but at this time we don't really have any evidence that suggests it's anything other than a really tragic accident.
The girl's name will be released once family has been notified.
Olympus High School went on lockdown earlier today. Officials say that there was not a direct threat to the students or campus, but it was precautionary due to suspicious circumstances between students. In an email sent to parents, Jen Christensen, the principal of the high school, says two students were immediately detained. She encourages the students to continue to use the Safe UT app to report anything suspicious. It is primary election day here in Utah, and we are looking at two big races, one of them being the mayor's race in Ogden.
Let's go back to Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow with the latest numbers. Ben.
Yeah, this is a wild race where you have 7 people in the primary for mayor there. And let's just get to the races right now. So many mayor candidates that we had to break the list down into 2 screens. Our graphic just couldn't handle it. You see them all right there. But in order to report the results, well, we had to break it there. So here you go. Here is some of the results that we have, at least right now. You can see these are some of the candidates that are finishing in 4th or 5th place as the circumstances may be. If we could advance the screen, please. These are your leaders. Taylor Knuth right now, leading right now with this race, shortly, closely followed by Ben Nadolski. And, that is looking, at least right now, based upon that, those are your front runners in this race. Now, we have been told that the Weber County Clerk's Office is not going to be posting any more results tonight, but you can expect counting to pick back up tomorrow. And then on the 2nd Congressional District Special Election Republican primary, just want to let you know we're going to have those numbers coming up next, but we do have results from Davis, Garfield, Paiute, Salt Lake, Tooele counties. We have also gotten word into the Fox 13 newsroom that we may see Iron County very shortly. That'll be coming up next.
All right, Ben, thank you so much. Speaking of the Ogden mayoral race, Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi has been closely following that race.
Maithili is live in Ogden tonight. Hi, Maithili.
Hi, Hi, Bob, Kelly. Now, this is a really tight race here in Ogden right now. The mayoral race, it's an open seat, no incumbent running, so 7 people vying for the top 2 spots, those to advance the general election. Now, about an hour ago, we got those first numbers slowly coming in. Taylor Knuth at the top with 1,435 votes. 23% of people have turned up so far for this election as of last night, and he's at the top right now. Of course, there are more votes yet to be counted, but we did speak to Taylor just earlier tonight to see how he's feeling, and take a listen.
Really good. We are incredibly proud of the amount of support our campaign has received so far. We are cautiously optimistic, looking forward to the rest of the votes to be counted in the next few days. We trust the democratic process, and we just are incredibly proud of the 1,000 and some odd people who said yes to our campaign.
It is a tight race now. Second right now is Ben Nadolski, only 76 votes away. So it's a pretty tight race. There are still other votes yet to be counted. We did speak to Ben, but you'll hear that coming up very soon. Live in Ogden, I am Maithili Gobi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, generally, we've had a really nice election day today, although this evening things are a little bit breezy. We've had a few storms that have moved through mainly northwest Utah, but up into Ogden and Salt Lake right now, our wind is gusting about 30 miles per hour. The rest of tonight in Salt Lake becoming mostly clear. Tomorrow morning, sunny, somewhat cool, close to about 55 to 60 for many of you as you wake up tomorrow morning, especially here along the Wasatch Front. And then throughout the day tomorrow, we'll have a light breeze, about 10 to 20 miles per hour, and temperatures are going to be warmer than today. So tomorrow morning, close to 60 for the morning drive, dry roads. Tomorrow evening, temperatures into the mid 80s. So if you didn't like that really cold spell that we had on Labor Day, we are going to have a warm up. Right now, what we're tracking for you here across far northern Utah, most of our precipitation has been north of and west of Ogden, up through Logan, Cache Valley right now, Sardine, a little bit of rain currently coming down up towards Logan Canyon, also approaching Bear Lake. Overnight temperatures for Salt Lake, Ogden, and Provo, all about 55 to 60 with partly cloudy sky into tomorrow morning. For tomorrow, again, we have a pretty similar pattern in place where we're going to have some storms mainly off to our west and north again, but those could cut into far northwest Utah, but we're going to keep most of those up towards Twin Falls and Pocatello. As we look at our overnight temperatures here across the state, we've got about 60 to 70 at 10 p.m. into tomorrow morning, looking at mostly 50 to about 60. Dropping into the 40s for our cooler locations like Park City and Evanston. Cache Valley tomorrow morning, we're looking up in the Cache Valley at 50 degrees, Uinta Basin 50 for Vernal, and for Moab close to 60. Same thing for Lake Powell, and for St. George mid 60s tomorrow morning. We'll have our wind about 10 to 20 miles per hour throughout the day tomorrow, so we will notice a little bit of a breeze with Wasatch Front temperatures for tomorrow rising into the mid 80s. St. George, you'll have a nice day with your temperatures into the 90s, so 60s as you wake up, with a warm day here across Utah, but pretty close to average heading into Wednesday. St. George tomorrow 92, close to 100 degrees this weekend, and for the Wasatch Front, we are going to be about 85 to 90 for the next week. Your 2-week temperature trend is coming up. We'll be right back.
The Salt Lake City Council is hitting pause on a big development area in the northwest side of the city.
There are concerns about the Great Salt Lake and for people who live in that area.
For reference, North Point is between Salt Lake City International Airport and 2200 West. The area is already under construction with massive warehouses across from residential and agricultural areas. And some residents are not happy about that. They complain about noise, traffic, and light pollution. Numerous environmental groups are worried because the development is encroaching on the Great Salt Lake.
Council Vice Chair Victoria Petro says her constituents are living in a hellscape. She proposed keeping the area agricultural.
We do it this way. We have developer agreements for everything that's developed. We can protect the uniqueness of that environment and the uniqueness of my constituents who live out there.
Keep agriculture on our side of the street. I'm hoping for it. And if they build a berm, I can't see the sunsets anymore, but if they'll build a berm, I'd be happy with that. So just to give us a little bit of a break, because it's just semis all day long up and down the street, and it's a mess.
Related to all this, Mayor Aaron Mendenhall's administration is proposing a buffer zone between the development and the Great Salt Lake. That would be a preservation area.
It's election night, at least in parts of Utah. I've got the latest returns coming up next.
Becky Edwards supporters are anxiously awaiting the primary results. We're live in Salt Lake City.
Celeste Malloy is vying to be the Republican on the ballot come November for the 2nd Congressional District. I'm Chris Arnold here in Cedar City with Malloy and her supporters as they wait for the results to come in from the primary election.
Bruce Huff lost the party nomination to Celeste Malloy a couple months ago at the Utah GOP convention. Could tonight be his comeback? I'm in West Valley City, where Huff's feeling hopeful.
Thank you for joining us for our primary election night coverage right here on Fox 13 News at 9. I'm Kelly Chapman.
And I'm Bob Evans. The big race we're tracking is in the 2nd Congressional District. Becky Edwards, Bruce Huff, and Celeste Malloy are in the running. Voters are choosing which Republican will move forward to try to take the seat being vacated by outgoing Congressman Chris Stewart.
Fox 13 News reporters Chris Arnold, Jenna Bree, and Emily Tenser are at each candidate's watch parties tonight. We'll go live to all three of them in just a moment. But first, let's check in on the latest numbers with Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow. Hi, Ben.
Ben, where do we stand right now?
Well, we are getting a lot more counties coming in. In fact, we've got Davis, Garfield, Iron, Kane, Paiute, Salt Lake, Sevier, Tooele counties all reporting at least some results right now. Let's just go right to them and get them on the screen here. You can see right now a 10-point difference essentially between Becky Edwards, who is in the lead, against Celeste Malloy with 33% of the vote there, 22%, almost 23% of the vote belonging to Bruce Huff in that race. We are still waiting to see what happens, though. We've got some counties that we've been told are likely done for the evening, which means that they're not going to report any more results tonight, and they will pick it up again tomorrow. But we're still waiting for a big county. This is the 2nd Congressional District right here on your screen, the boundaries of that district. A big county that has yet to report any results to the Lieutenant Governor's office so far. Well, that is Washington County. It's a big population center, and it certainly could make the difference for any one of these candidates, at least in terms of advancing to capture that Republican nomination. So stay tuned. This could go any way tonight, and we're going to be updating the numbers throughout the evening.
Ben, thanks so much. The front runner, as Ben just mentioned, is Becky Edwards by 10 percentage points at this point. Let's check back in with Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree, who's live in Salt Lake City with her campaign. Jenna.
Sure, Bob, and there's been a lot of confidence towards Becky Edwards tonight, but I will say things have quieted down a little bit as the results keep coming in, and her lead, which was really wide margin before, has been shrinking, and people are definitely getting a little bit nervous. When we first got those preliminary votes, the whole crowd was just applauding, cheering, hugging each other, a lot of early celebrations despite those votes still being counted. And I caught up with Becky a short while ago. The former state legislator says she's focused on a lot of the causes she took action on during her decade as a Utah representative. Her top priority, improving the lives of families. She says she spent today running around doing last-minute campaigning she believes has really paid off.
Today has been the culmination of our last week of this election for the primary here in CD2, and it has been voter outreach after voter outreach with phone calls, walking neighborhoods today, honking waves. It's an exciting day. It's a day we all get to exercise this great privilege of voting here as Americans.
Edwards says she hopes to continue expanding affordable housing, improving schools, and supporting clean energy opportunities if she's ultimately elected. We will be here for the rest of the night, and we'll continue to give you updates as we get a clearer picture of those results. Definitely a lot of excitement and a lot of nerves in the room tonight. Reporting live in Salt Lake City, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Anna, thank you so much. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold is following Celeste Malloy's bid to become the Republican on the ballot come November for the 2nd Congressional District. Chris joining us not live now from her election party in Cedar City. Hi, Chris.
Well, yeah, good evening, Kelly. The excitement picking up here as supporters for Celeste Malloy letting out some yells and cheers just 30 minutes ago when numbers started rolling in for Garfield County. The same could be said just even moments ago as more numbers started coming in for Sevier, Iron, and also Millard counties, all in favor of Malloy. Now I want to step out so you can see here behind me. This room holds a little under 100 people, and you can see here behind me plenty of people here right now, some with their eyes glued to the screen as those numbers continue to roll in. Now, Malloy told me earlier today that she felt like a dark horse candidate coming into the state GOP convention back in June after winning and securing an endorsement from the Utah Republican Party, as well as her old boss and current representative for the 2nd Congressional District, Chris Stewart. Malloy says it has been a pretty quick turnaround to get ready for this primary election. But as those numbers continue to roll in, Malloy is remaining positive.
Feeling really good about these numbers. I'm performing as well as I would have dared hope in Salt Lake and Davis counties, and a lot of the counties that I would have expected to be strong for me haven't come in yet. So the mood in here is really good. I'm feeling really optimistic.
Well, Malloy also hammering home today that she sees herself as a unique candidate with a unique perspective living here in Cedar City rather than up in the Wasatch Front. She says the overall issues, whether it be in Salt Lake, Davis, or even Washington counties, are the same, and what people want from their representative here in the 2nd Congressional District are the same. Again, numbers continuing to come in, and Malloy says she's keeping her eyes on those rural counties, especially Washington County, which has yet to report any numbers at this time. But for now, live here in Cedar City, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thank you, Chris. And finally, we head back out to West Valley City with Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser on this race.
She is at candidate Bruce Huff's watch party. Emily, it's kind of quiet in that room.
Bob, Kelly, yes, a lot of people just waiting for those results, but this whirlwind timeline of this campaign is finally coming to a close tonight. It's been a little over 3 months since Congressman Chris Stewart announced his resignation, and it's been go, go, go for these candidates ever since. It's been a roller coaster of a race, especially back in June when Bruce Huff and fellow competitor Becky Edwards were eliminated at the Utah GOP convention in Delta. Other competitor and Chris Stewart's staffer Celeste Malloy was voted to be the prime nominee. However, Huff earned enough signatures to have his name on the ballot today. He wants to bring his long list of business experience to Capitol Hill. As of now, he's trailing behind the other two candidates. Here's what he said just a bit ago about his spot in 3rd place.
That's completely expected. You had one candidate who had been in the race for Senate just a year or so ago and had a big head start, and then you had the other candidate who had the endorsement of the existing congressman who had an infrastructure in place ready to go as well. So we started a little bit behind, but the good news is towards the end of this campaign our momentum was really strong. Audience participation part of today.
I asked him why he decided to put his name in the running for the seat. He told me he thought about his 10 kids and 22 grandkids and was, quote, worried about the promise of America for these kids with a $32 trillion debt. He says the debt and deficit spending are his top issues. Now, the latest results have Edwards at 42%, Malloy at 34%. And Huff at 22%. He hasn't really moved from that number. Still a lot of counties unaccounted for. His friends, his family, his supporters are sitting here just waiting for those results to keep coming in, and they're staying hopeful. So for now, reporting live in West Valley City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, temperatures today, 80 degrees in Salt Lake, a little bit below our normal 85. How long our temperatures will stay below average, and if we'll see any more storms tomorrow.
Welcome back. An Ogden man faces potential homicide charges after police say he shot and killed another man in an argument over a drone. It happened last night at about 10 near 700 North Liberty Avenue. Booking documents indicate 25-year-old Brendan Powell told police he heard a noise from a vehicle in the area and flew his drone around the corner of his house to investigate. After it hit a tree, Powell approached and said he found a 31-year-old man holding his drone. That led to an argument, with Powell then shooting the man 7 times. The man died at the scene and Powell was taken into custody without incident.
Salt Lake police are investigating after a body was pulled out of the Jordan River this morning. It happened near the Rose Park Golf Course located at 1386 North Redwood Road. Police say 2 golfers came across the body just after 9 a.m. Homicide detectives were called out to the scene. They're now working with the medical examiner's office to determine the identity of the body and how it ended up in the river.
It's standard procedure in a suspicious circumstance like this to call out detectives. We don't want to leave any stone unturned, when there's a deceased individual.
Police have not yet revealed the age or gender of the victim. If you have any information to help investigators, please call Salt Lake City Police.
4 members of a Utah family died over the weekend in a car crash on an Idaho highway. Idaho State Police reported that on Friday at about 10 p.m., a Tesla traveling east on Highway 33 crossed over the center line and collided head-on with a semi-truck. In the Tesla were 46-year-old Jennifer Blaine, her 11-year-old daughter Denali Blaine, her 22-year-old daughter Emily Levitt, and Emily's husband Zach Levitt. They were all killed in the crash. The Blaine family is from Manaway. The Levitts live in Kaysville and had been married for a little more than a year. If you'd like to donate to the family's GoFundMe page, we have a link on our website, fox13now.com.
The Sandy Police Department, as well as family and friends, are mourning the loss of Officer Brad Taylor. A GoFundMe page says Officer Taylor was being treated for pneumonia in July when doctors found a large mass the size of a football in one of his lungs. A biopsy revealed melanoma had already spread through Taylor's body, including to his bones. At the end of August, Officer Taylor started immunotherapy and was admitted to the ICU. The GoFundMe says Taylor was a veteran police officer, loving husband and father of 2 daughters, ages 2 months and 3 years old. Funeral services are pending.
The family of a Uintah County teen is mourning the loss of their son, who would have turned 16 today, but was killed by a suspected drunk driver Saturday.
Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule shows us how drunk driving can impact lives forever.
Dominic Cole should have been celebrating his 16th birthday with his family on Tuesday. But now his family will be celebrating and releasing balloons for him without him. On Saturday, Dominic was hit by a suspected drunk driver while riding his bike with his friend, according to court documents. A GoFundMe set up for the family says he later died at Primary Children's Hospital, surrounded by family in the room and over the phone. Now, like other families who have lost people to drunk driving, his family has to learn to live life without him. Public safety records show there have been 58 alcohol and drug-related deaths on Utah roads this year. The Utah Highway Patrol says there's no excuse for driving under the influence.
If you've been drinking, obviously make arrangements beforehand so that you don't get on the road or behind the wheel while you're impaired. There's plenty of different services out there, ride shares, taxis, friends. There's ways to get home if you've been drinking, to make sure you get there safely and make sure everybody else on the road is safe as well.
Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
It's an important race here in Ogden. 7 candidates vying to be mayor to get the 2 spots to go general election. We speak to the front runners in this race after initial results have come out. You'll hear from one of them coming up.
The BYU women's soccer team has done something for the first time ever in program history. I'll tell you what that is. And we'll hear from Utah quarterback Bryson Barnes on why he can now quit his part-time job. That's coming up in sports.
Tomorrow is National Read a Book Day. To celebrate, Fox 13 and the Scripps Howard Foundation are matching donations for our first ever If You Give a Child a Book, Book Blitz. All day tomorrow, the Scripps Howard Foundation will match all donations dollar for dollar up to $150,000. Text Fox 13 Reads to 50155, or you can visit fox13now.com/giveabook to donate right now. Donations are tax deductible, and 100% of all donated funds will stay right here in Utah to help children get the books they need. Just $6 will buy a book for a child in need.
Back at it now on this primary election day. Let's go ahead and check back in on the Ogden mayoral primary.
We return now to Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow in studio with those numbers. Ben.
Yeah, that's right. This has been a race where 7 people are in the primary for the mayor's race. There are so many candidates, as we pointed out. We had to break them into 2 screens. You can see them all there when we list the candidates, but when we start giving you the numbers, well, take a look at this. Here's where we are right now. These are some of the candidates, at least right now, in third place. You've got Bart Blair, or at least second or third place there, based upon the numbers we have from the Weber County Clerk's office there. Let's advance the screen and show you where things are right now. The leader right now is Taylor Knuth, followed by Ben Nadolski, and then you saw another 18% there. So Knuth having, what you can see by the numbers there, 1435 to 1359. You've got a very close race right there. The Ogden mayoral primary, obviously that's going to continue counting tomorrow. We also are tracking the 2nd congressional district right now. We are getting numbers from Washington County, and Celeste Malloy is surging right now. That is your teaser. We'll be back in a few minutes with more election results.
Ben, thanks so much. Now let's go back to Ogden to hear from another of the leaders at this point.
Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi is there live. Maithili.
Bob, Kelly, now it's a really important race here in Ogden for the mayoral seat. It's an open race, 7 candidates vying just for the top 2 spots. Now the Weber County Elections Office telling us 23% of the votes have come in, have been processed, and right now Taylor Knuth is at the top with 1,435 votes, but just 76 votes behind him is Ben Nadolski. Still a very close race. Bart Blair after him, Angel Castillo, John Greiner. Less than 100 votes between all of these is the difference, so it still could be anyone going into general election in November. But we did speak to Ben Nadolski just moments before this, after the initial results came out, about how he's feeling so far and what he hopes for. Take a listen.
Well, it's good. I mean, it's nerve-wracking, right? But we knew it was going to be tight. We're right where we want to be. And we're super thankful for all the support we've had. Our supporters, our volunteers, our donors. We've really felt a surge of support throughout the campaign all the way through today. So we feel good about where we're at.
I was at the Weber County Elections Office when the results started coming in. It's a very tight race, still close to call to see who's going to be the top 2. They tell us that no more numbers are expected to come out tonight, probably tomorrow and the day after that, for us to really know who will advance to the general election. I'll keep following this race and we'll let you know as we get those details. Live in Ogden, I am Maithili Gubi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Maithili, thank you so much. In national news tonight, the CDC is out with a new warning about RSV. The agency says there is a rise in cases among young children in both Florida and Georgia. Regional spikes typically predict the beginning of the national RSV season. Between early and mid-August, the rate of RSV-related hospitalizations increased from 2 in 100,000 kids to 7. The majority were in babies less than a year old. On average, RSV infections cause about 80,000 hospitalizations and up to 300 deaths a year.
Enrique Tarrio, the former Proud Boys leader, has been sentenced to 22 years in prison surrounding charges from the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. A judge in Washington, D.C. made that announcement this evening. Tarrio was not in Washington on January 6th, but the judge says he organized the far-right extremist group's attack. Tarrio's sentence is the longest so far among more than 1,100 Capitol riot cases. The news comes as the Justice Department prepares to put former President Trump on trial. at the same courthouse in Washington.
All 19 defendants in the Georgia election interference case have now pleaded not guilty. That's what new court filings from the Fulton County show. All 19 have also waived their arraignments. Those hearings had been scheduled for Wednesday this week in Atlanta. The judge in the case says there will still be a hearing then to address scheduling matters.
Extreme heat is causing school closings and dismissals this week across the Midwest and Northeast. More than 50 million people are under heat alerts in those regions. Some forecasts are predicting temperatures 15 to 25 degrees above average for this time of year. Some public schools in Michigan dismissed students early today, and school districts in New Jersey and Pennsylvania have cut back to half days or canceled in-person classes altogether. Teachers' unions have been raising concerns about the impact of extreme heat on student health and ability to learn. Allison.
Heat is back on here in Utah heading into the next couple of days. Right now it's in the 60s, a very comfortable day here across the state. Many of us were in the 70s for most of the day. We head into tonight, we will cool again, likely about 55 to 60 degrees for the Wasatch Front tomorrow morning. So a cool start, and then temperatures tomorrow are going to be a little bit hotter than they were today. Air quality the next few days also moderate. We're tracking a few showers here across far northern Utah. We are going to have a little bit of isolated storm activity again tomorrow, mainly to our west and to our north. We'll get to that in a second. Up towards Logan right now and Bear Lake, a little bit of rain moving through. Expecting a mostly dry and mostly clear night here across the state. Maybe partly cloudy at times, but Wednesday 7 a.m. 50 to 60 for much of Utah, dropping into the 40s likely for the Cache Valley, Evanston, maybe even into Vernal. Bryce Canyon tomorrow morning. Always one of our coolest places, cool temperature-wise and also beautiful. A very neat place to visit, into the 30s tomorrow morning, with our temperatures tomorrow rising about 5 degrees hotter than today. So into tomorrow, we're again going to have some storm activity mainly into Nevada and Idaho, but we will have that chance for a few of those showers to drift into Utah. Thursday at 3 p.m., same thing, especially for our mountains. We could see a little bit of isolated showers. Friday, mainly off to our north. So there will be some activity across the region, just likely not any major impacts here in Utah. Chance of precipitation for Ogden rather low through the weekend. Same thing for Provo. By early next week, we've got a little bit of better chance for some showers to return by next Tuesday. And for St. George, you're going to have a pretty hot weekend ahead. And again, some more chances for isolated to widely scattered storm activity, or maybe just some additional clouds early next week. Temperatures in St. George 92 tomorrow, close to 100 degrees this weekend. And for the Wasatch Front, mid to upper 80s for our entire 7-day forecast. So it's going to be about 90 degrees this weekend. And then after our 7-day forecast, our temperatures are going to stay above average for week 2. That is the 13th through 18th of September.
Utah moved up 2 spots to 12th in the college football rankings. The Utes are hoping to get Cam Rising back at quarterback this week against Baylor. If not, it'll be Bryson Barnes and Nate Johnson, with Barnes playing on full scholarship for the first time. Here's Fox 13's Andrea Irvin.
Bryson Barnes walked onto the Utah football team in 2020. And after last Thursday's season-opening win over Florida, he is no longer a walk-on.
Plans to put Bryson Barnes on scholarship?
Yeah, he is on scholarship. Yeah, he is on scholarship. Good question. How'd you know that?
Barnes confirmed at practice Monday afternoon.
After the Florida game, yeah, I was not on scholarship before the game.
A well-deserved scholarship that allows him to quit his part-time job.
I mean, definitely helps a lot, you know. You don't have to worry about paying for school. You know, I don't have to go back to Lowe's and kind of work a part-time job anymore, so definitely some perks to that for sure.
When Cam Rising tore his ACL in the Rose Bowl, Bryson Barnes took the field in Pasadena, and he has worked hard to prove himself ever since.
Kind of have an idea of ACL injuries and kind of the recovery time with things like that. So, I mean, that's been in the back of my mind since January, understanding kind of what's at stake and what's, what the future may hold. There's a lot of eagerness, ready to get back out there and just kind of get after it, especially where we lost to them last year. Definitely had something to prove.
I just got to ask you about the feeling of when you saw your pass land in Money's hand. What were you thinking as you were kind of sprinting down the field to go celebrate with your teammate?
The one thing I remember was letting the ball go. The second part was him catching it at number 10. And once I seen he caught out, there's nobody catching him, so it was just a matter of getting down there to celebrate with him.
I had my list of openers. That play was on the list, but it wasn't the first play, and it was Coach Whittingham that said, what do you think about taking a shot on the first play? Just moved it up, and the guys executed it very well. No one's more invested than Bryson Barnes. He's our guy right now.
With the Utes, Andrea Urban, Fox 13 Sports.
BYU will host Southern Utah this Saturday. The coaching staff has the Cougars working hard in practice, especially the offense, after scoring just 14 points in the win against Sam Houston.
It's not exactly what we were hoping for, but it was good enough to get the job done. But we're still excited. We're excited for this week. It's a new week. We're not really, thinking about all the negatives or anything. We're thinking about the things we can work on, of course, and that's the mindset this week. Just go work hard. We know we're playing a good team this week, and just want to, turn things around for us and I guess get the dice rolling.
And how about this? For the first time in program history, the BYU women's soccer team ranked number 1 in the United Soccer Coaches Poll after beating previous number 1 UCLA last week. The Cougars received all 8 first-place votes and are 6-0, and they'll play Utah on Saturday. So for the first time ever, the Cougars ranked number 1.
Wow, and a big battle coming up, in-state battle.
Utes, that's always fun.
Is anybody else shocked that Barnes was not on scholarship until this week? Crazy?
That's a tough one.
He's played a lot of games and has done a lot of good for the Utes.
No kidding.
I think he should get some back pay there, some back scholarship.
Should be grandfathered in a couple of years.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
We've got new numbers to share with you in the primary election races. That's up next in Quickcast.
Welcome to Quickcast. We have a leader change in the 2nd Congressional District race with new numbers just dropping. There is now less than a 1% difference between candidates Becky Edwards and Celeste Malloy.
It is so close. Let's turn now to Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow. Ben.
Yeah, Washington County has posted numbers on its website. We're still waiting for them to populate with the Lieutenant Governor's office so we can get a statewide picture. But when we plug those numbers in, let's show you what we get. On your screen here, a 216 vote difference between Celeste Malloy and Becky Edwards, and Malloy now takes the lead with 0.3%. Obviously, these are very preliminary. Indeed, I'm waiting for Beaver County and Juab County. Juab County looks like it just reported some numbers too. So this will update again in a little bit, but it's still very close. These are preliminary numbers. There are still many ballots yet to be counted, but what you've seen here, rural Utah flexing its muscle as Celeste Malloy throughout the evening has steadily risen in the ranks here. We'll have much more results on Good Day Utah tomorrow morning.
Thanks so much. Right now, Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold is following Celeste Malloy's campaign to be the Republican on the ballot come November, trying to represent Utah in Congress.
Chris, it's getting exciting down there in Cedar City.
That's right, Bob and Kelly. Yeah, the excitement really has picked up over the past hour. You heard Ben say there, Malloy has taken a slight lead. We're waiting for those numbers to populate on the screen here behind us. Regardless, the cheers here got really loud from the people. You see it here behind me, a lot of people on their feet, on pins and needles as these numbers continue to roll in. Claps and cheers could be heard in this room even when numbers came in for other counties like Garfield, that is, Sevier, Iron, and Millard, all in favor of Malloy. Now, Malloy telling me about an hour ago that she feels she's fared as well as she thought she would in this primary election in Salt Lake and Davis counties. However, being a resident of Cedar City, it is those rural counties that Malloy told me she is really banking on in this race.
I would love to see the rural counties decide a congressional seat. I think they've always felt underrepresented. They've always felt like they get what's left over, and I would love to see the deciding factor in this race be the rural counties.
Malloy also hammering home today that she feels that she is a unique candidate with a unique perspective living here in Cedar City rather than up in the Wasatch Front. Again, a lot of people here behind me still standing right now, waiting to see those Washington County numbers populate on the Lieutenant Governor's site. But of course, again, Malloy taking a slight lead right now, but we'll see how this continues to play out as all the results continue to roll in. But for now, live here in Cedar City, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
We'll have a cool start tomorrow morning. Temperatures in the 50s here along the Wasatch Front, close to 60 as you wake up tomorrow morning. Still a few showers in far northern Utah as we get ready for bed, but we are looking at a mainly dry evening. Temperatures tomorrow morning 50 to 60 for much of the Wasatch Front. Rising tomorrow into the 80s here across the state. St. George here into the low 90s tomorrow, close to 100 degrees Saturday and Sunday. We'll have a rather dry 7-day forecast for the most part, although tomorrow we will still have a little bit of storm activity, mainly into Nevada and southern Idaho. For Salt Lake, 85 tomorrow, 87 on Thursday. Temperatures in the upper 80s this weekend.
Allison, thanks so much. Finally, tomorrow is National Read a Book Day, Kel.
And to celebrate, Fox 13 and the Scripps Howard Foundation are matching donations for our first ever If You Give a Child a Book Blitz. It's happening all day tomorrow, Wednesday. The Scripps Howard Foundation will match all of your donations to the If You Give a Child a Book, dollar for dollar, up to $150,000.
Wow,
so
that is something
that is
else.
going to be quite significant. All you have to do, it's easy, text Fox 13 Reads to 50155, or you can visit our website, fox13now.com/give-a-book, and you can donate starting now, tonight, in fact.
That's right. Hey, thanks for staying up with us on this primary election night. We'll continue to stay close to the numbers as they roll in. Tune in to Good Day Utah tomorrow, where Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth will continue to bring you political analysis.
Thanks for being with us, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.